Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Dump and Change. Today, our guest is men's hockey assistant coach RJ Enga. RJ, thanks for joining us today.
Happy to be here.
Super excited to have you today. We're going to go back a little bit. So, you grew up in Germany originally, playing soccer, no background in hockey really.
Correct.
What role did soccer and international culture play in your perspective of sports?
That's a really good one to start with. That's a tough one, but no, it was, there just wasn't hockey. It wasn't like even a thought. But growing up, playing soccer, it was, I love the game. It was, I know it's a lot slower, I think, for most people over here that you want to see more scoring, right? So, but there's just so much tactical part of it. Like creating 2-on-1s, attacking 2-on-1s, and I think that played a part in maybe the direct correlation with hockey, just kind of how you see the sport, and then just international culture. It's just I don't know, you just like high value. It's just everything here is like right at your fingertips in America. Like everything's open pretty much on Sunday except for like Chick-fil-A, but like you can do whatever you want in the U.S. at any time, and over there it's just a different structure. And we had every day at like 4:00 we had cakes, coffee, and then our big meal of the day was at midday. It's you guys have Svenja is German.
Yeah.
She's like Mittagessen, but it was a really it's kind of the bigger, heartier food, and then dinner or supper at night. Abendessen was just more, this kind of like soup sandwich. It was kind of lighter. So there's just some differences just in that in and of itself. But then correlating that to coming to America and then deciding to play hockey was I think both my parents were kind of shocked by it a little bit, but it seemed to work for me.
Yeah. What was like the fan base around hockey in America compared to soccer and how it was in Germany?
Geez, there was a huge difference. So hockey has definitely become way more mainstream now. Back then, like it was very, very seldom on TV at all in America, whereas soccer in Germany it's the only thing. Like things like shut down when the town team is playing, even if it's a second or third division team, it just would shut down for that game. And like I just remember in like the late 80s is when I first like saw like one of my dad's friends had cable and said that the Edmonton Oilers were playing somebody or whatever, and so I got to see Wayne Gretzky play on TV, and it was that was in like 87, or you know what I mean? So it was a long time ago for you guys, but at the time there just really wasn't like the coverage or media blitz around it. And soccer in Germany is the number one sport, like by far, in most of Europe actually, because they have the UEFA Cup, but it was just that is what people that's the center of their universe is soccer.
Yeah, that's pretty
football.
crazy.
They call it football, actually.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway, but
our bad guys.
yes, no, we'll just stick with soccer and keep it.
Yeah, it's easier.
Yeah, it's a lot easier.
Were you good at soccer?
You know what, Avery, I wasn't bad. I was a striker, so I was just more interested in scoring goals.
Right.
And so that made soccer a lot more fun for me, in my opinion. But you may not be able to look at me and think this, but I actually could run pretty fast, and that was what I wanted to do, was score. So I did okay. I think I don't know. I still played. I played soccer in prep school, and was able to take a couple visits for Division I. But I decided to go the hockey route, and not because there wasn't much pro soccer in the U.S. at the time.
Yeah.
But I liked hockey more. It started to be just more fun for me. I liked my teammates and stuff. So.
How old were you when you moved to the States?
I think I was 8 turning 9, something like that.
And then did you start hockey right away?
No. I started when I was probably 9 turning 10.
That's pretty late for a hockey player.
Yeah, that's what people tell me.
Yeah.
But there just wasn't, I mean, I was so bad Like,
Were you?
Yeah, like not that I'm like amazing now or anything, but but like if you compared to like the 9-year-old self to like, you know, even like my 13-year-old self, like I had like the ankle skates and I had, you know, my folks rented equipment. And so I had like the all blades skates so bad. Like if you held the skates upside down with like the blades on top like this, they'd just like flop over, you know, like they were really bad. So bad equipment, bad player. My dad didn't know which hand we shot. My brother, I have an older brother, and he played too or tried. And we both were brutal. And then he took us in the backyard and he threw us each a shovel. My mom had some flowers she wanted us to plant. And he threw us each a shovel and said, okay, dig a hole there and you dig a hole there. And however we held the shovel to dig the hole, he's like, oh, well, I think RJ's right-handed and I think Dan is left-handed. So anyway, so that's how we figured that out.
Yeah. That's crazy, though. I feel like it's so hard to find success unless you start super early. What do you think kind of contributed to being successful and making that jump so quickly?
Gosh, you know what? I think I just really fell in love with the sport, and I feel like just knowing myself now that I'm old. But when I fall in love with something or I have a strong passion for something, then I just go. That's my focus, and there's nothing else. And certainly when it came to sports, I really love sports, all sports. But when it came to what I wanted to play and what made me feel good, it was just all about hockey. And I've come to realize that I really love sports where there's a definitive end, like you score a goal.
Yeah.
It's like there's a definitive thing where like with football, you cross the goal line or American football, you cross the goal line and, you know, we scored, hey, a touchdown, you know, or baseball, you run across home plate and okay, make a score, you know. But like you're shooting in the net. Soccer, you shoot a ball in the net. There's some cross. You know, golf is just whatever. It's recreation. You just put the ball in the hole. But I felt like that kind of drove that passion at a young age to really stay with it. And I saw other kids my age were pretty good, and that really frustrated me. Yeah. Like, how can I, like, they're the same age as me. Why am I so bad? Yeah. Like, you know, and so I worked on it a lot, and I just, as much ice as I could get, I would just go do, and I'd fall down and get back up. And my sister, I have an older sister as well, and she was into figure skating. When we moved over, and so I started to do like skating lessons, like with her, at, like public skating, because I couldn't I couldn't like get up and down, right? Like, so they'd do like these cross ice little figure skating lessons, and so I just jumped in with her. And she did not like it, like having her little brother tag along, and I sucked, and so like but it helped me so much because I got to learn like edges and balance and stuff. Anyway, so that's I think how it took off a little bit too. I had like double ice time for a couple of years to catch up.
That's smart. Yeah, I feel like the figure skating, like even they do our coaching now, like teaching edge work and stuff, like for skating drills. I feel like that's super helpful. So that's cool. Yeah.
And then you went to Culver Academy
for
all throughout high school?
No, just 3 years. So my sophomore, junior, senior year. I left home at 15. Okay. And I went to Culver Military Academy, which at the time for me didn't really appeal to me to be in military stuff. Right. But I really needed it. Not that I was a bad kid, but I was definitely, I leaned towards having a really good time. As opposed to being more disciplined with things.
The freedom.
As a young kid, I'd like to, you know, sometimes just have too much fun, I guess, you know, have a lot of, you know, at a young age, start having Diet Cokes and stuff, you know, but anyway, I would do that and get in trouble, but the discipline helped a lot. So I went at 15 and they had really good hockey program. Believe it or not. It's in northern Indiana. Yeah. And the coach there, Al Clark, to this day, he changed my life. He really did. Like, he convinced my folks that this would be good, and I was not convinced. But once I got there, and you realize with the teammates and the other guy, everybody's going through the same thing you are, and geez, we had access to the rink anytime we wanted. So we could go skate and we could go, shoot pucks. We could, whatever. And, they had a weight room there. And it was kind of all put together. And just so happened that I didn't have to worry about what I was wearing every day because it was uniform. So it was already picked out for me.
Kind of nice.
So I did that for sophomore, junior, senior year. And, that also helped me a lot with, I do not write English very well. I've become much better now, but that was really when it first started for me. English was really one of the toughest courses for me. And then, but that was at Culver is really where kind of the teachers and professors, whatever are there, really helped me out as far as the written part of English.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Could you talk a bit about your relationship with your parents and how moving away early on was?
Yeah, that was really hard. I don't know if my mom, I'll tell my mom about this so she'll watch it, but we're all very close. We're a very close family and we just have each other in this world. Right. And to leave at 15, I was fine with it. I was just, okay, whatever's next. Right. My dad was, I think, fine with it. My mom, it was definitely difficult for her. And my mom she's the best and amazing. She should be sainted, but, for her, she cries all the time. She cries, she would cry. If I even just saying this, she'll probably be like, oh my gosh. But but that, I just remember how emotional she was when she dropped me off there at prep school. There's kids marching around and I had cut my hair short. It's probably almost as short as it is now. And I think, oh, okay, well, I'll be good. Maybe a little longer. And then they're like, this young kid in this outfit. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy's pretty serious. He's like, yeah, you need to go to the barbershop and then come back here. And I'm like, barbershop? I already got a haircut before I got here. I was thinking what is going on here? And so you stand on this box and they shave your head and you start over.
So they were pretty cutthroat there.
Yeah, it was at the time it was still JROTC, so Junior Reserve Officer Training Course, so JROTC. And so they had greenies there and then so new cadets, which is what I was, a plebe they call you. You had to get tight haircuts, right? So and I thought, well, and then once you're there for a while, then it's just short. You just keep it tight, but yeah, it was an eye opener that first. But my mom was super emotional. She didn't want to leave. And, she's watching, kids getting yelled. It's pretty hardcore. It's military. They're breaking you in, right? Kind of thing. And so she's probably watching that. I'm standing at attention and people are in your face going, so that probably made it even worse. But we were always, the funny thing is anytime that we did have together from that point on, because at that point the cord was cut. Anytime that we had a weekend leave or she would come out and visit or whatever, it just made our time together. We valued it that much more, and but she knew that we just kind of grew up fast. And, then on the other side of it, now being a parent, I know what she means now.
Yeah, hard to see.
Time just flies. It just flies. It's the strange phenomena of we always talk about how time flies, years go by, but somehow my days are long.
Yeah, right.
How does that
right? I don't know.
How does that work? Some days you get to the end of the day oh my gosh, but all of a sudden it's Christmas.
Yeah, right.
So anyway.
Definitely. So at that point, you were still playing multiple sports at Culver. Had you not, obviously you said hockey was your favorite.
Yep.
But had you not fully decided which you were planning on pursuing yet?
You know what? When I first went there, it was mostly hockey, I would say, and then just playing a sport every season at prep school. I obviously I really liked soccer. We had a really good team there. We had a big guy that's from Croatia. We had a lot of Latino players, so we were good. We were a pretty dominant team in Michigan, Indiana, and I was really into that as well. But I just loved hockey. It was a longer season, so it felt more like a season.
Yeah.
And then I played baseball. I picked up baseball when I was there, just because all my my hockey teammates played it.
Yeah.
And you get to go outside and you get
Right.
some sun, so I'm like, all right, yeah, let's do it. But I was really, that was more just for funsies and to do it for the school.
Yeah.
But hockey was the main focus, not right away, just because I did like other sports. But as my junior, senior year came, it just seemed like that was really, I started to maybe show a lot more promise in that game than the other games that I was playing.
Interesting.
Did you feel a difference in the cultures, like comparing soccer, hockey, baseball with like the family aspect of the sport? I feel like hockey for me has always been like my teammates are my family, but soccer and swimming, it was never as much so, but I also didn't care as much about those sports, so.
Yeah, I think Avery, I have a similar experience because I was close to, I mean, it wasn't like a bad teammate. Like I like my teammates and what we do together, and we work hard together and win, lose, whatever.
Right.
But you know what, it just is, I think it has a lot to do too with length of season and the proximity you are to each other. Like, I mean, you sit in a locker room shoulder to shoulder with everybody, and you just do everything together. And then because your travel and the length of season, you're close. Then you get on a bus, and then you go eat together, and then you practice together, and then you train. Like, it's just the proximity with each other. And then with soccer, you're outside, and the game isn't really that close. We're passing to people that are 10, 20 yards away. Where in hockey, I could be net front battling with my teammate. Like, it's just the whole proximity of the game, and then the length of the season, it just lended itself to being more close. And that is actually one thing that as a player that I probably miss the most. It's just why I probably still coach.
Yeah.
It's just that camaraderie in the room.
Yeah.
Or around the room.
Right.
And it keeps me young now, but I remember when I first retired from playing, it wasn't, I mean, I like to still play. It's a lot easier to do that in life, to make money, but it was just the guys, your teammates, and getting on the road and having a team meal and pulling pranks on each other and shoe checking and whatever. Like those are your jokes, those are your inside things. And geez, if you did that and you worked in like an office and you shoe check somebody, they don't like. They don't just quite get it, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a similar experience for me. Hockey just seemed to be closer.
Yeah. Were you, like, obviously the school itself was strict. Were the sports there like that? Like, would you guys get bagged if you lost? Like, or was it more like you could let loose?
No, we kind of let loose. Our coach was really good there, Al Clark, I mentioned. He is just a wonderful, wonderful coach, but an amazing human being. And he was super quiet and super stoic. So, like, you never really knew if he was happy or mad or, like, he was just one of those guys.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know. That's a good question because I think we let loose pretty much the whole time we played sports because it felt like our only outlet to really kind of get outside the lines, so to speak, a little bit, and kind of be ourselves. And then when you put your uniform back on and literally fall into your ranks or whatever, you've got to be, straight and narrow. But when you play sports, you can kind of
let loose, have fun.
Yeah, it was just more, exactly, fun, and you felt not like you didn't feel like a normal kid going to school, but you just felt like it was just like the way it should be kind of thing, as a kid, to let loose and play a sport and have fun and pick on each other and, whatever, have your stuff. It just, and then you get into class and you march into breakfast, you march into lunch, and like, it's just, that's just a different way of doing things. But just playing sports, it was just sports.
Yeah. So. I always feel like once you're actually on the ice, you're just like escaping everything else that's going on and just focusing on that for a little bit.
That was one of my favorite things, and I can't remember which coach, I played for a lot of them, said this, but as soon as like your hand hits that locker room door and like you're pushing it open or whatever, that everything else in the world just kind of drops off. Yeah. And then that's your haven. And I think I still do that now. Yeah. We used to actually make jokes in pro, and one of the teams I was on, that because we'd be on planes or you do things, and we just we're talking like we're in the locker room still, like, hey, you got to friggin', whatever.
Yeah.
And, the whole world's not a locker room. One of our coaches would tell us, and we're like, what do you mean? Like, but yeah, that's that getting in close and that close culture that hockey seems to have.
Yeah.
And nicknames, probably one of the best nickname sports of all time. And it just has good names. If you look at the names of athletes that play hockey, and not that there aren't others, there's some great ones, right? But if you look at hockey, they just seem to have amazing names.
Interesting ones, yeah.
Really interesting ones that are like just naturally have nicknames to them.
What was your nickname?
Geez, I have many. Right now, the guys call me Arj.
Arj.
Yeah, and that's actually what my family calls me is Arj. And geez, my first year here, I did ops, and David Rennick. Do you guys know David? Mm-mm. He's a goalie. I think he's from Czech, or he might kill me for that one. Czech or Slovakia, one of the two. But he didn't speak English great, and he couldn't say J's, like so. RJ, it came out as a G, so he's like RG. So then that stuck for a while. So then I was RG. Every now and then you'll hear somebody like down the hall, hey, RG, But then and then in college I was dime because I wore number 10. I was Q when I was at Culver. I was Q. Arj was probably the main one. What was some of the the guys call me Sarge too because it was Arj. Then they found out I went to military school, so they called me Sarge.
That's a good one.
And then then that turned into Sergeant Pepper. Anyway, it's just it goes. That's the song by the Beatles. Anyway, but it's I have many nicknames. Like probably you guys probably have some too, or you get coined one because of something you did at a party or whatever, or in class or or on the bus or I was at Culver. I was Q. I get mostly because I didn't dress the best when we got a chance to wear civilian clothes. I had just had I didn't know that we were going to be able to wear civilian clothes there, so I didn't really bring any. So I would go down the hall and can I borrow some clothes, because they had on Saturday nights sometimes they had a dance where you could wear civilian clothes.
Okay.
And so I would put together just these horrendous outfits, but the guys, their leftover clothes that they weren't wearing, acid wash jeans and some kind of goofy shirt and so they told me I was the opposite of GQ. I was QG. So then, and I kind of looked like a cue ball because my head was shaved and I had blonde hair, so it was kind of all tied together to Q. So then I was Q for 3 years. Anyway.
Crazy.
That's weird how that works. There's a lot of them. That's tip of the iceberg. There's still another layer of nicknames there, but we won't get into
We'll have to hear about it.
We won't have enough time. I don't know how much time we have. Anyway.
So then once you finished up your season at Culver, that's when college started coming into the picture.
Yep.
What was your recruiting process like?
So I think the recruiting process for me was back then the USHL wasn't really the prerequisite like it is now. So I just wanted to get on with things. So I wanted to get to college.
Right.
But I did take some visits. I took all my 5 paid visits or whatever, how you get the 5 NCAA. So I did those. I went to Vermont, UNH. I did Colorado College. Yeah. I did, Wisconsin, Michigan. I did unofficials at Miami, North Dakota, Boston College, Boston University.
Everywhere.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because being from Colorado, I wasn't regionalized as a person, and I went to school in Indiana, so I wasn't really sure. I'd never been that way before, that direction in life. So I wanted to see what that was all about, and then I went west. Obviously, I knew a little bit more about the Midwest and West, but yeah, that was kind of a process. My dad was trying to get a job at Wisconsin at the time, and
did he want you to go there?
I'm not. He never actually came out and said that, but he was trying to get a job there at the time, and he didn't. And then I've always felt really, I don't know, really close to my family anyway, but they never really got a chance to see me play for 3 years while I was at prep school. Like, seriously, hardly at all. And I thought this would be an opportunity to, play back home, and they could see me more. And I could see them more, and actually see, because they sacrificed so much for me to go to this school out in Indiana, that it would, if this is a way I can pay that back a little bit for all the things that they've had to sacrifice, now they, you know what, this is some maybe reward to come see me play. And back then that was the old WCHA, so there were good games, and it was fun. That process was actually, I don't know, UNH might get mad, but I did, on my visit to UNH, I may or may not have got thrown in jail on my visit.
Elaborate, please.
Wait, do you know I went to UNH?
Okay, I did not.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was at Blue House. I don't know if they probably don't have that anymore.
No,
I mean, you're not the age that I am. But so we had this, they had a hockey house called Blue House, and this was all on me. This is on me. This is nothing, it's not a UNH thing. But so they were having a lot of Diet Cokes there, and I had a red Solo cup with Diet Coke in it, and I was walking down the stairs, and we were having a good time after the game on Saturday. And as I walked down the stairs and I kind of turned the corner, and I ran into this humongous policeman. Like, he was probably like 6'7". And so I like kind of ran into like his chest, right? And my red Solo, the Diet Coke spilled out like on his uniform.
Spilled a drink on
and like, he's like, son, I need to see my ID here. And I go, well, I'm like, I don't know. It's back in the dorm. I don't have it on me. He goes, well, then let's go back to the dorm. And I'm like, oh boy. So,
are you with the boys?
Yeah, with the fellas. Yeah, and they're, So anyway, I ended up not going back to the dorm to get my ID because they, kind of searched me a little bit and found that I had it on me, but I was just trying to swindle a, delay tactic or something. Anyway, so I ended up in the back seat of the car with handcuffs on, and they drove me to the clink. They took my, how you do the pictures, like turn to the left, or
mugshot?
Mugshot, yeah, mugshot.
You have a mugshot?
So I had a mugshot on my visit at UNH. And so the captains of the team, I saw them coming in, and I'm like in the back, like in the tank with like the other people that were in there. So I'm in like behind bars, I'm in jail, right? So I'm back there, and I'm like, the guys came, I'm like, hey, boys.
Were you scared, or you were
no,
like,
not at all.
This is fun?
Not at all. And then and I was just having a good time. I don't know. I was eventually going to either go to sleep or whatever. But I saw those guys come in, so I was all fired up. And then they ended up explaining, hey, look, this is a recruit. He's on a visit, whatever. So they dropped the charges. Like, Coach Umili was like distraught. He's like, hope this doesn't affect your decision or whatever. I'm like, this, as a coach, that was my fault. Like, the head coach actually flew to Culver the next weekend and like took me out to lunch on campus. And I'm like, and he was apologizing to me. I'm like,
wow.
Coach, like, seriously? That's my fault. Like, like that. And he's like, that's just not, said, look, that's on me.
Oh, so they really wanted you.
They did.
That's an interesting perspective. Like, I would not have think that he would react that.
That's exactly. I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy's going to just like drop the scholarship off or whatever.
Right.
And that was the opposite. And so I told him too, like, on me, you don't have to worry. I haven't made my decision yet. And this makes a huge difference, right? So it kind of came down to those two schools, really.
Wow.
Because I liked UNH a lot. This was when they still played at Snively Arena, and there was a Culver guy there, Kevin Dean, was on the team, and he told me a lot of great things about it, and I love Coach Umili. But I ended up going west, obviously. But yeah, that's just that was one really good story that I'll share with you on my visits. But my visits to BC and BU were also, they weren't quite that far, but they were also very interesting trips.
You got in trouble?
So I may or may not have gotten in trouble on those trips.
I kind of want to hear about that.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I should share that one. I'll share the UNH one is a little bit easier to share, let's say. So we'll stick with that.
Jake said you had some stories.
I have many. many. Again, I don't know how much time you have on your show, but
Make it work. Yes.
I have a lot of stories. But those, that's probably the more appropriate story to tell
Which is
on
surprising.
a visit.
but-
Yeah. So, but that was, and the guys were loving it. So like Dominic Gamodio and Sevo Metrovic were the captains, and we were walking back to the Blue House because we went back to the party, and so we go on our way back, and then we're walking together, and he's like, they're like, RJ, this is great. He's like, you decide to commit here, we'll just use that monk shot in the program. Like that would be like the picture in the program.
Headshot.
Monk shot. Hey, look at this guy.
Do you still have the picture?
I probably still have it somewhere. Yeah, it's laying around.
see it.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to dig that one up. Yeah, it is classic. When you look at that, I definitely, like.
Did your parents hear about it?
Oh yeah.
What did they say?
My mom was distraught. Like distraught. My dad was distraught in front of my mom, but then when it was just he and I, he's like, probably was a pretty good part. I'm like, yeah, it was a good part. Yeah. So it was a little different that way. But that was that walk back to the Blue House, and I walked in, and it was like, I was like a hero. Like the whole, like, you walk in and they're like, yeah, like
Your
the whole party,
reputation was
like
set in
he's
stone.
back, he made it. And they're like, everybody's asking, what's it like? I had no idea. I was like, because I had the 2-hand wave, they called it. Because I was in the back seat and you had your handcuffs on, so you're like, so that's not a good thing to do. You don't want to 2-hand wave
Noted.
people. So
What would you do if that happened to your players now? Like, I feel like it's, I don't know, maybe it's different, but I feel like
it's very different. That would be
like, I feel like if a recruit went to jail, like
on a
our
visit.
team or the boys would be so scared that they were just, because like
Yeah.
that's like on us kind of.
Yeah,
Like, you got to take care of the recruit.
Yeah. Definitely it would be more on us for sure.
Yeah, I'd be terrified.
It was very fun and funny. I think the adults had more issues with it than any of us, but nowadays, no way.
Yeah.
That would just be a detriment. But the guys are pretty good. I think they have a good sense and a good feel for, the situations that are going on. So they have an appropriate place to, do their things that they want to do and have a good time, but, keep it private.
Yeah.
And not like out in the public.
Right.
Again, that was on me. I didn't have to, but
That's crazy.
But and I'm telling you that when I say like he was a big cop, not only was he tall, but I think he might have been like 320. Like he was over 300 pounds
That would be
for
scary.
sure. And so he was a super scary looking guy.
Yeah.
And he had like the bulletproof vest on and stuff.
Even
and that's
bigger.
like he was just, it's a bigger guy.
Busting out of it.
And I don't know, for some reason I didn't handle that very well.
Yeah.
But the Diet Coke all over him. And it wasn't like just on his uniform, it kind of like, it might have splashed up like onto his face and stuff. So it was kind of, because I was really surprised. I actually thought I ran into the wall. Like that's how, and then I realized that it was a person. I'm like, whoa. And then I realized it was a policeman. I'm like, oh, this is not good. So, yeah.
Oh my god.
And he wasn't up for like fun and games with
No, it
the
doesn't
ID.
sound like
No.
it.
Yeah. We're going to have to see some ID. And I don't know if that's going to happen.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's back of the door. Well, then we'll have to go to it was that dialogue. I'm sure they probably still show it.
Yeah.
If they had like body armor, they're probably, look at this knucklehead, But anyway.
Crazy.
Did you get in a lot of trouble ever at Culver, and was there harsh punishments there, or were you just like expelled if you got in trouble there?
Yeah, they're pretty like back then. You had like you march tours, so you get like we had fake like rifles that you kind of do like drill
Yeah.
like army drills with and stuff, and they would still like open and close like but they weren't like they're not able to fire them. You couldn't put like a bullet in there or anything, but you would put that. You'd have to like march around this triangle thing in the middle of campus.
Yeah.
And you march tours if you like just do dumb things. I did do a little bit of a dumb thing a couple times, but one for sure was I had a girlfriend at the time, and because Culver Military Academy is boys, obviously, and then there's Culver Girls Academy, and it's like a girls prep school, and we're coordinate schools, and we share the same campus and classrooms, etc. So I had a girlfriend there, and I'm not going to share her name, but I had a girlfriend there because I do remember that. But anyway, I lived on the 4th floor of main barracks, and the one side of main barracks, there's a lake. Lake Maxinkuckee is the lake there at Culver. And so the lakefront side, the emergency exit goes all the way down from top floor to the bottom floor. So I thought it would be really smart to have her come see my room. She'd never seen a barracks room. I'm like, okay, well, we're boyfriend and girlfriend. Yeah. We can do that. So I walked down the stairs, I opened the fire exit door, because we rigged it so that the alarm wouldn't go off. And then she came upstairs, and like within 2 minutes of her being in the room, and there was a knock at my door, and it was like our counselor. So someone must have saw her walk in the building. Anyway,
somebody said something maybe?
That would be so Bush League if someone did that, but someone might have.
Who was it, you
like
guys?
someone maybe jealous because maybe they liked my girlfriend.
Probably
It
was.
sounds like that
Wanted to hook up with her, and then they're not, and now they're going into the barracks.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it was within minutes. And so on the outside of our doors is like a door glass, but not a big door glass. It's kind of a little like sliver window pane kind of thing. And we used to put our scarves that we wear for the winter. You could put, I was in artillery, so we had red ones. So we put a red scarf over the door glass. But from the outside, you could still, it's like a shade, like a curtain. You could still open it like that.
Yeah.
But if the scarf's on the inside,
can't move it.
You can't do that. So that's an honor offense. And then if you lock your door while you're occupying your room, like you can't lock your door if you're in your room at Culver.
That's crazy.
It's an honor offense.
Wow.
So the door wasn't locked, but I did have my girlfriend in there.
Yeah.
I mean, and there wasn't anything like weird. We weren't like, like crazy.
You were just giving her a tour.
Yeah, I was just showing her, like, this is where I do my homework, and this is where I sleep. Because that's what you have. Because we had, bunk beds. Yeah. Although I was at the time, no, I guess I was a junior, because my senior year, anyway, I got all my rank stripped. I was like an ops sergeant or whatever, and then I went right back to like new cadet, like beginning of my senior year, because it was like, anyway, it's a long story, but you're getting the gist of it.
Yeah.
And when you're at Culver, don't even think.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Do not bring your girlfriend up in your room. You're going to get caught, and it's not going to be good. And so the worst part about it, it was brutal getting caught. The worst part is that the main guard people, they brought us, both of us, her and I, down to the main guard area, and they made us separately in separate rooms call our parents and tell them.
Oh my God.
And I'm telling you, I could hold the phone right there, and I could hear everything my dad was yelling at me. It was he had some very choice, selective words to say to me at that moment. And I could hear my mom in the background, and she was yelling also. I did not, that was the worst part, is that, not to getting caught and getting your rank stripped and all the other, it's like my mom and dad now know. It's like, oh my gosh. And that wasn't one that in private, my dad was like, hey, that's, that was not that. It was like, you're a dumb, what are you doing? So yeah, I would share that one with you guys. That was very embarrassing.
Do you think having such strict rules in boarding school kind of shaped your college career a little bit? Having that more freedom now? Yeah, it did. I got, by the time I got to college though, I just really, it's just so very fickle and silly to say, but I just wanted to grow my hair out long. I had my hair cut super short. Now here I am and I have short hair, but it's I just wanted to grow my hair long. Mm-hmm. Mullets were
cool. Like then, like that's when they were
You had
like
a mullet
totally
in
in.
college?
Oh yeah, I had a really solid mullet. Like you can Google some of those pictures. There's probably some laying around, but it's like mullets were in. I couldn't have one, and now I could. And I grew my hair long. Like I it was so like, and I have kind of curly hair. Like when I like by the end of the game, you know how you sweat and you kind of you do the water bomb and everything. But my hair kind of straightened out. It was like covering. It started to cover the name on my nameplate on the back of my jersey. So it was, and I was like proud of that. I'm like right on. And it wasn't until my dad finally said something. Like he's like, you got to get a haircut. Like, this is ridiculous. I'm like, no chance. Like anyway, but yeah. So the I think that was like the only thing, because truly the other part of it, I wasn't that interested in school. And the way Colorado goes to school is different. You just kind of take one class at a time, and which suited me because I really was not interested in academics.
Yeah.
I just
What
really
was your
wasn't.
major?
And I'm going to say my major, and it's going to sound like I'm some like intelligent person, but it's so it was international political economy. Okay. So it's a poli-sci econ double.
Interesting.
And with international emphasis because I have foreign language skills, and then I had a minor in postmodernist philosophy.
Okay.
Wow.
So philosophy really appealed to me. Art was my original major there, but you can wait till like your junior year. I think before your junior year you have to declare.
Yeah.
And so I did 2 years of like art classes, and I loved them. I love art. I don't know. You would have to be the judge of that because art is very beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but I drew a cartoon for the school newspaper.
That's so cool.
And so cartoon art was came very easy to me. But I also did sculpture. And anyway, but I always heard about like starving artists. And I'm like, okay, well I think starving doesn't sound good, so I'm going to switch my major. And so I did. So I switched to IPE, it's called. So that's the short, so you have to say all that whole mess again.
Yeah.
And then in philosophy, really, when I was doing my art classes, I took a lot of my classmates in art were taking philosophy classes as well. And very liberal arts school, very liberal school. And so these philosophy classes, there's no wrong answer. And I really, that really appealed to me, right? You have whatever you want to say in class, you're right. And I thought this is awesome.
Yeah.
And I might've been the only student in that class with shoes on. Like everybody else, like truly, like Colorado is it's just different, right? So that very earthy. Granola at the time. It's different now, for sure. It's way more like corporate, but it's back then it was really a little bit more free that way.
Interesting.
So yeah. But I loved not ever having to worry about if I was wrong.
Yeah.
That's like such a freedom.
Right.
Love that.
Like you have no idea. You could write a paper, and it's just more the structure and kind of how you use your words is what you get graded on, not necessarily the subject matter.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Anyway.
That's cool.
And your guys' hockey team you guys were pretty good?
We were pretty good, yeah, back then. So my first year we were like about 500, but we made the WCHA Final 5 or whatever I think it was called back then. And then my sophomore year was not very good at all. And then we switched coaches. And then my senior year is really when it took off. And they started to make plans to build the World Arena. At the time it was the new World Arena. Now there's Robeson Arena where they currently play. But that's that kind of recruiting, like guys like actually Coach Eric Rude was a teammate of mine for a couple of years when I was at CC. Yep. And I think I'm a 95, he's a 97, but it just really started to roll. And I think my senior year, we won, I think 30 games my junior year and 31 my senior year. Those are pretty good years. So yeah, like we were number 1 my senior year for like 14 weeks in a row or something. So we had a good squad. And it was fun. We didn't have a home rink at the time. After my junior year, they put a big wrecking ball through the Broadmoor, which is the old World Arena.
Yeah.
and my senior year, we shared Air Force's home rink. So for home games, we would have to like pile. It wasn't like we had a bus. Like we just piled our gear in guys' cars, and we drove up, carpooled up there, and it's not like where Colorado College is and where Air Force is kind of it's a decent drive, right?
Yeah.
Especially with traffic. So anyway, I think poor Eric Rood, I think he might have only played at Air Force. I think his 4 years, he might have only shared Air Force. I don't think he ever played
The new one.
in the new one, yeah. So
What
kind
were
of a
your expectations in terms of like playing time and how you would adjust to college coming in?
I was really fortunate because at Culver I played with really good players,
Mm-hmm.
and at CC I did as well.
Yeah.
But I fooled enough of the brass with the New York Islanders enough to draft me when I was at prep school.
Yeah.
And so my expectations going in wasn't like I was feeling entitled that I knew I had to earn things, but I felt pretty confident that I could be on a power play and make plays and score or help my line mates score. And it was actually a struggle. It was a big difference in the level, and then obviously the like size of guys. Like they were just, we're playing against men. I was 18, turning 19 years old. I could just, these guys were big, strong, fat. Some of these guys had played junior and they're kind of grizzled and they have beards and I don't like I shaved once a month, I think back, so it was that transition to the speed and size, took a while, but, I think I honestly, I don't think I had my first goal in college until like game 8 or 9 or something.
And then they started coming. You
Then,
had an insane amount of points in.
So I was able to get some points, but like I said, I was fortunate to play with really good players.
Yeah.
Like you just skate around with your stick down, and the guys I played with, they're so like adept at getting either the puck to me or scoring if I gave it to them. So, and then power plays help. Like I was able to play power play for 4 years, and again, super fortunate that the coaches and they believed in me enough to put me on the ice in those areas. But that's really where I feel the most comfortable anyway. Yeah. So, and then I switched positions partway through my college career. So I started out as a wing, and then I think it was like halfway through my sophomore year, I played center up until that point my whole life, and I loved center. And then I don't know if we were just like taking draws at the end of practice, like just practicing at the just centers go take face off. Yeah. And they're like, hey, RJ, come down here. We need a righty, to work on, our lefty centers against righties. So I went down there and I just,
You're just winning.
I was just snapping them back. And coach was like, holy smokes, like, or did you play? Like, can you play center? I go, yeah, I played center my whole life. And so I said, okay, well, we got to, make a switch. So then once I got to play center again, that's when I felt like it really started to be comfortable and with everything. It didn't matter, like my line mates kind of changed in and out here and there, but I just always felt better in the middle.
You put up like 142 points in your 4 years there.
That sounds about right.
Was
yeah,
that a normal amount for your team to get?
I think there was a couple guys that had 160 when I was there. Joey Jaroszewski, I think, was 160 or 150. We played together. You know what? There was a few.
What were the scores of your games?
Well, it would depend on our opponent. Sometimes 2-1, but then other times it's like 6-4 empty net.
Okay, so you had some
4-2 empty net. So we had some high scoring games, but we did play back then. Air Force. We played them always, just kind of crosstown rival, and at that time their program wasn't where it is now.
Yeah.
So we did put a 12 spot up on them 1 year. That was a big night.
Yeah.
That was at the Broadmoor. I might add 2 and 3 in that one, but anyway, yeah, they were able to, again, we had good players. Like we just Reuter was one of them, but it just, we played pretty fast, and I think all of us just really liked scoring, so
Yeah.
it just kind of worked out that way. We all just
Nice
like
thing to have.
yeah, it's fun. It's fun to score. It's fun to score now.
Yes.
And I'm 52 years old, and I still go out on the ice before practice and just rip clappers and try to go like bar down as fast and as hard as I can. And for some reason, that still gets me going. I think that's awesome. But I think guys that really have a passion for scoring are the guys that I'm kind of drawn to.
Yeah.
When I go watch hockey,
Yeah.
or watch hockey in the NHL,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of my teammates at the time would have the same feeling when it comes to the game and how they see it, and how they want it, how it should be played, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I made this argument to a coach in pro, because he was, there's a spot on the roster and they pay somebody to be a defensive defenseman, where they don't expect them to score
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
They just lock teams down. So I came in and I said, okay, well, if that's the case, then why wouldn't you have a spot on your roster for an offenseman where
Go D.
you do not care whether or not I play D ever.
Right.
But if I go score, then now we're talking,
Yeah.
and he looked at me like probably for longer than I thought, without saying it. He said, absolutely no chance. No chance. You are playing in the D zone. You need to be a plus player. And anyway, I tried to change the game.
I get where you're coming from,
You know?
definitely.
Would you take one of those players on your team now?
100%.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Do you have any of those players?
I'm not going to say that. No, I'm not. I'm just, all our guys do. They are very responsible in both ends.
Yeah.
But yeah, as a coach, you definitely, I mean, it would be great, but they drive you nuts. And most of the time what ends up happening, if you have a guy like that, is the team is the one that kind of
Yeah,
polices that
definitely.
and says, hey,
Right.
you got to get back there.
Right.
And you want to be one of the boys, so you don't you don't
Yeah.
float at the red line all night, So, but I tried. But I do have a penalty kill that I think will revolutionize the game. And
Okay.
the guys know it. And if they watch this, they probably won't. But if they do watch it, they'll know. But
They'll
I've
watch
always
it.
tried to do this when I go to Buffalo. I do the select festivals
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the summer, and I always threaten that I'm going to do it because they would have to rewrite the rule books.
You haven't tried it, though.
I haven't tried it.
Why not?
I don't know. So do you want to know what it is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
please.
I don't know if I
Or
should
is
share
it like
that.
a
Secret?
secret?
It could
we
be
can
top
cut it.
secret.
We can cut it.
No,
if
no,
it's a
no.
secret.
So my theory on penalty kill. I think it'd be great if, let's say, you got your four out there, they win the draw or battle, whatever, and they fire the puck down. They get clear at 200 feet, and most of the time they're changing after that. All four of those players drop their sticks right where they're at. Just drop them. The four new players come on, and the offensive team, like the power play, they can't go in there and knock the sticks around. That's the delay of game penalty. So where they're laying is where they have to be, and the refs can't pick up four. So there's 4 sticks in the D zone.
Why can't they pick up 4? Is that a-
They typically won't have time. The other team's
okay,
coming
like
down.
just
Yeah.
because they need to watch the
Yeah, they
game.
got to watch the game.
Right.
So it's not like linesmen are out there cleaning up the zone, So there's 4 sticks there. Then that next 4 go out, they battle, and it's probably going to hit one of those sticks on the ice anyway and tick
Blocking
out.
passes.
And then they fire it out. They drop their sticks. So now you have 8 sticks out there, and then another 4, because we have extra sticks on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
So even if it's the same 4 that started, they can still have their new sticks. And like the refs, what are they going to call? Hey, I thought it was broken. I don't know.
All 4 of us.
All of us. But all
an
at once?
interesting
I don't know. But if you look, there isn't a rule in the rule book that says I have to hold on to my stick that isn't broken.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you think this would work?
I think so. I think they
it
would have
work
to
one
rewrite.
time.
I think it
I
would.
feel like the refs would pick them up. They'd be like,
They
this
wouldn't be
is
able to. They'd be
cheating.
like they'd look like lumberjacks out
Yeah,
there
and
trying to
now
pick
they're
all
in the
these
middle
things
of
up.
the play.
Yeah, like they're trying to get out of the way.
Well, why
and
haven't
the
you
other-
tried it then?
Every year in Buffalo, I say, because the USA Hockey, that's when they have like the ref clinic too. Mm-hmm. I'm like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
Like, this
Wouldn't know
couldn't
what
be
to
a
do.
more perfect time to try this disaster and watch them try to deal with it. What are you calling? You can't call delay a game. They thought it was broken, or, they They just decided they didn't want that stick. It wasn't the right curve. I don't know, but it's out there. I think they would have to rewrite the rule book because of that penalty kill.
Probably true. That's
imagine having 8 sticks scattered around the offensive zone, and the other team's trying to like break in and make a play, and and if they swipe one of them out of the way, that's a penalty.
You should have them try it this weekend at UND.
At UND, put the refs on the.
Because this episode won't be out by then, so they won't
that's
know
right.
yet.
Oh, when does this air? When do they guys put this out?
Next week.
Next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
we have time.
after next week, the people are going to know.
Then it's free game. They're going to know, and then we will have started it right here. We will have revolutionized.
Yeah.
Okay?
We changed the game.
Dump and chase. We'll have changed the game. Okay?
Literally.
I love it.
I like
but
it.
yeah, everybody laughs when I explain it to them, the guys that I work with in USA Hockey, and then they realize that I'm not laughing. That I'm actually serious. I want our guys to drop their sticks when they change. And they're like, can you do that? Ask one of the refs. What are they going to call? Anyway.
Well, I wonder if you would be able to move the stick if the player's no longer on the ice, though.
I don't know.
So that's another question.
But if there's a broken stick in the zone and somebody slides it out of the way on the offensive team, it's a penalty.
I don't know. Questionable.
Delay a game. Well,
we just have to try it.
You have to try it.
It's worth the discussion. I say it every summer, and it usually starts this discussion. And again, when the guys get around, they have their Diet Cokes, and we talk about it. That's one of the things that we talk about. I don't actually drink anymore, but I think that we can revolutionize penalty kill.
Wow. If I was a killer, I would try it.
I would try it.
But I'm not a killer, so I'll have to tell somebody else.
Somebody else got to try it. Somebody got to take the step.
That's funny.
You don't kill Avery? No?
Not my type of game.
Well, you would be the best penalty killer on the team.
I actually did penalty kill the other day for our team.
Out of the net,
did you?
actually, on defense. Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Well, we needed an extra player, so I stepped up.
Oh, gotcha.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
It went well. I'm
Good
a big
stick.
body,
Yeah.
Got a
Good
lot
stick,
of gear on.
length,
Boxing out was really my specialty.
Yeah,
I'm really good at that. Obviously, take a lot of pride
lock
in
them
it.
up and keep them out.
So,
I like it. I like it.
Okay, so you put up 1 million points at CC, and then that you went pro after.
Yep.
Were you hoping to do that your whole time at CC, or when did those dreams kind of start for you?
Yeah, as soon as after my junior year at prep school, I got drafted, and that's when it really started.
Yeah.
That's when it was like, I think this is what I want to do. I actually didn't want to go to college.
I feel that.
I had to promise my mom, because this was a thing, and she's going to watch this, but she cried too when I said I didn't want to go to college. And that she cried because she wanted me to go to college. So that was really important. Yeah. And I was like, I don't want to go. I just want to play pro, and play hockey. I think it's great. And so I made a promise that I would finish college, and I did that. But yeah, right when I was done, I wanted to play. That's what I wanted to do. Whether it was minors, it didn't matter to me. I loved it. Mm-hmm. And I had this dream, this sense that I was close, that I could play in the NHL, even at my size, at the era where guys were, not that they're small now, but in an era where they were all big guys. 6'2", 200 was like an average size. Yeah. And I was below that, so I had to do other things really well. And I don't fight. So, I did, but it's not like how I was going to make my money. I was going to make money scoring or making plays. So, so I signed and got things going that next year with Tampa and their organization, and had great experience with that. Got sent down. I think my rookie year, I made it long enough to be in 3 rookie parties that year.
Oh, wow.
So I stayed in Tampa long enough and did the rookie party there. And I got sent to Atlanta. This is the old IHL. And stayed there for the rookie party. And the day that I got sent down from Atlanta, that actual day that I got sent was their rookie party. And I was a rookie. And so I did 3.
You had to participate in
all
of them?
3, yes.
My goodness.
It was a solid year. I mean, if you were going on rookie
Busy.
parties, I win that year.
Right.
But it was such a great experience. I wouldn't change any of that. Like the pro hockey, for me, it was living a dream.
Yeah.
You know, to be able to just play the sport you love and someone pays you for it, and that's all I have to do.
Right.
So like I quickly discovered that I was an excellent day waster. I can absolutely waste a day. Like as soon as practice was over, we didn't have like the video games stuff that kind of I feel like a lot of guys get into. Like I can't even. This is embarrassing and a very old person thing to say. I can't even start it. I can't even like NFL Madden. I can't even like run a play. Like I can't start the game. So I don't even know if I'm any good at it. But anyway, because there's like so many buttons on the thing.
There is.
You know, like there's some like on the top, like up here too, and then there's this and this, and there's some on the side. I don't get that. But yeah, I learned how to play guitar.
Okay.
I learned American Sign Language.
Oh.
I did a cooking class because that was the other thing, because I was not a very good cook. And you can only have mac and cheese and hot dogs so many times before it's like, okay, this is getting seriously old. So I took like a cooking class, and I got to be pretty good at cooking. Like I love it now. So anyway, those are kind of, that's what happens when you can waste days.
Yeah.
Like
That's not wasted.
Like
You got
well, I got something out of it, but like definitely the first couple of years was just like zombie land. I did not like, it was just whatever. Yeah, played, and then when I played like in Tallahassee, we played a lot of golf when I got sent there, and then when I played in San Diego, every day we play golf pretty much.
It's got to be nice.
Yeah. Lars played in San Diego. We didn't actually play there together. We missed each other there. We did play on some all-star teams there, and we played some USA together. But San Diego was like dreamland. Like that, I mean, 68, 70 degrees every day.
Dang.
And it was like, you know, get down. I mean, I was going to the rink. I had shorts and flip-flops. And then after, we're like, we'd call the golf course. They'd have sandwiches in our golf cart ready for us. We pull up. The clubs are on the cart. Like, it was just...
living the dream.
It pinched myself. What am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't I want to play as long as I can, doing stuff like that?
Right.
So
Was it tough getting like bounced around to different teams?
it was. I never got traded, thank goodness. But it was hard being like called up, sent down, called up, sent down. It was really hard on it, because again, we all feel like we're good enough when we play our game. So. When I would be called up, I'm thinking, well, this is it. I'm just going to stick now, you know. And I never stuck necessarily. I certainly didn't stick in the NHL. I played some exhibition, but it's just really it's a tough league. You know, it's really hard. It's fast. It's big. It's like ultra competitive. You have like a bad practice, you could be done.
Yeah.
You know, so it's that consistency, which is one of the things I really harp on now as a coach, is being inconsistent. Myself as a player cost me.
Yeah.
And if there'd be something I could help players with, there's a lot of things, but that would definitely be one of the top ones, is just that maturity to stay disciplined enough so that you're prepared every day so that you can be consistent, where I did not manage my life off the ice at all very well as a pro, which cost me.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know how, I thought I was fooling everybody.
Yeah.
You know, like as a coach from this side of it, you can tell which players aren't managing their life off the ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they have problems with, you know, things off the ice like drugs or alcohol, or you can tell. And but as a player, you think, oh, they're never going to notice, or I'll just chew gum today, or what.
Yeah.
They know, and that's that hurt me.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't want that. I just even if I can just help one guy manage that and have an opportunity, then I feel like that would be enough for me. But hopefully I help more than that, but just at least one.
So do you think that's what, because I feel like consistency is such a hard thing for a lot of people to kind of figure out during their college years and so on. Do you think that preparation like that is kind of what contributes to finding that same
I think definitely preparation. I think the consistency is the heart. Like
There's so much that goes into
So much goes into it, but consistency is, the guys that play at the highest levels on a daily basis can get to that level and stay there, and it's comfortable for them. But I'm telling you, I think being prepared mentally and physically, because it's tough league. You travel a lot, and so you're what is it? Is it circadian? What's the rhythm of your sleep?
circadian rhythm.
Yeah, is way off in that league, right? And so you have to get your rest when you can, and so you're kind of sometimes you don't even know if it's day or night, right? So, if you can manage your diet, rest, nutrition, your training, certainly in the off season, because it's hard to train in season. With the schedules, it's a little easier in the NHL because everything's provided for you.
Right.
But certainly at the minor league level, that's the biggest and the strangest thing, is because you're trying to get out of that league, but you don't have all the things that they have at their disposal to get there and to stay there. But they call it, that's why the NHL is the never hungry league. It's because everywhere you go, there's a buffet, and there's snacks, and there's water bottles and Gatorades, and whatever you need.
Yeah.
And if you're in the minors, sometimes you're stopping at Shoney's to have, nothing against Shoney's, but you're getting your pregame meal at Shoney's, right? And waffles and syrup, and all of a sudden now you got to go play a game, and I'm trying to actually get out of this tax bracket and get to another tax bracket, and so that's the challenge. That was, but once you realize that, hey, I'm still making a good living, but I'm doing what I love to do. Yeah. Then the reality is, I kind of had that moment, right? I think it was my fourth year of pro where I realized, I'm aging to the point where I don't know if I'm going to make the NHL, but gosh, I can't see I don't know what else I would do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else. I don't know how to make money and put food on the table, and I love it, and I still love to score, and I love the game and the guys, and I'm doing this until I can't.
Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah, you did.
I did. So,
when did you make the decision to stop playing and start coaching?
So when I stopped playing, I was 33, and my oldest daughter, Kaylin, who's now 21. I can't believe that 21 years have gone by between. I don't know how she's 21 and I'm still the same age, but it's crazy. But she was born, and then that's kind of when it was so my ex-wife at the time had a job with Merrill Lynch, and it was who's going to stay at home with Kaylin, and I said, I'll do it. So I became a stay-at-home dad. I did that for 2 years.
Okay.
And that is the toughest job there is. I had this whole new appreciation for what my poor mom went through. My sister was going through it. She had young kids and was a stay-at-home mother, and I was a stay-at-home dad, and it was oh my gosh. I couldn't believe it. I remember the first day, Kaylin was, because she wasn't mobile yet, right? She was just small.
Yeah.
And at the time, so then my ex-wife, she went off to work, and it was just the first moment, it was just her and I for the first time. And she's kind of squirming around on this blanket. And I'm looking at her, I'm like, oh my God, now what? What do I do? It's and they get up at the crack of dawn, the kids, so it's 7 a.m. It's oh my gosh, there's a long time before she gets back. It's just her and I, and she doesn't move. I don't know what I'm going to do here. There's not a handbook or something that's how to be a stay-at-home dad, so, but we figured it out, her and I, and baby Bjorns saved my life. That's those, you guys know what those are? Yeah. And it's a little front backpack
harness
thing. Yeah, harness.
Yeah.
And she would cry, the kid. And I, what is wrong? You've been you got the bottle, you got, what are we doing? Clean diaper, and just screaming. But I realized that if I turned her out so she's facing out, her eyeballs are that way, then it was smooth sailing. Then it was awesome. So I could do like all the chores around the house, you know, and I could take her, like I'd walk the mall because it was really pretty cold for the, you know, bundle her up, but that's no good. So I would just go to the mall and just walk the mall with this baby Bjorn. It was awesome. It was awesome. So it was good until she got taller. When she started to grow and she started to get like stronger legs and stuff, I'll never forget this. So we were at Dairy Queen and I had her in the baby Bjorn. And we were in line at Dairy Queen because I got my steps in, Avery. Don't look at me like that. Dairy Queen's really good. So, so anyway, so I was going to get my Blizzard and I was going to share it too. But, and we're like, you know, in the line and people backed up there and I'm giving my order and everything. And then all of a sudden, like it just went, I had this like amazing pain and like sweating instantly started happening. But she was kicking her legs really hard. But like she was right at the height where it, you know, hit you in the, you know, private area as a guy, right? So, I mean, I almost fainted. It was like I started to see stars. I'm like, oh my gosh, and even the Dairy Queen fella was like, "Are you okay, sir? You know, I'm gonna be okay. I think. Like, just get the Blizzard. Like, I need a Blizzard. You know." Anyway, so. Yeah, that's when we just like we had to have a different plan. So then she got too big for that. So then I got the baby backpack thing, and so then if she kicked me in the back.
That's fine.
No big deal, all good. So, but yeah, I just remember when that day changed. It's like, oh, this is baby Bjorn is out. So anyway, but yeah, it was a really good Dairy Queen too, by the way. Just
okay,
so you know. I earned that one hard. But yeah, so I did that for a couple of years, and then. That was in Colorado. And then there was a youth hockey program that I'd grown up playing in. And some of the guys had heard that I was back in town. And they said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm stay-at-home dad." And they're like, "Well, there's a AAA team here that, you know, would love to have you come out and help if you're interested. It practices at like 4:30 to whatever." And I said, "Well, I don't know if
I'm booked.
I'm booked. You know, I have like unless somebody there is going to watch my kid.
Yeah.
You know, so but what ended up happening was really good. Is you know, like my sister would come help and my ex-wife would come back early sometimes, but I was able to manage to get out on the ice a little bit. Mm-hmm. And geez, once I got on the ice with these kids were pretty good. I hadn't been around hockey at the youth level this was U18 AAA. Okay. And geez, these kids were good. Like they're pretty developed and they're good players, and they listen when you talk to them. Like this, like I really like this, you know. And so that's kind of how it started back. Then the fever caught hold again, and that was it. Then it was I want to coach, and then McKenna, my younger one, was born, and I think my ex at the time was like bummed out that she didn't have the bond that Kaylin and I had, so she's like, okay, well, I'll stay at home then for a while. And anyway, so then I started coaching and hockey director for the youth program in Colorado Springs, and that's where it all started. The coaching side of it, it was so much fun, so much fun. We had some really good players and good teams. In fact, my second year, I think it might have been my second year coaching. I had Trevor Lewis, who was a really good player from Salt Lake. Great kid, but he lived out with a billet family, but he ended up winning a couple, like 2 or 3 Stanley Cups with the LA Kings. Mm-hmm. I think he still plays, actually. I think Trevor Lewis I think he's still playing somewhere. Not going to He might be back in LA again, but anyway, but he was like an amazing player at a young age. I'm like, I really like this. And so then coaching began.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that it's like a little bit of a similar journey to being a player. Like you start, you know, with the youth hockey team and then you work your way up to different programs and then end up in college again. Is that kind of what you saw for yourself, like once you started coaching again?
You know what? Looking back, I didn't really have a plan when it came to like where I wanted to be in coaching, because I still feel like I'm getting better at coaching. Yeah. I'm not a finished product. No one is. But it's certainly life learning is really important to me. And I think to be a good, effective coach, you have to have that. Otherwise, you'll just be, you know, the old dinosaur that you don't quite get it, you know. Yeah. so you're always evolving. You have to evolve as a coach. If you're not open to that, then you won't be able to do it for long. But I think the path, I knew I wanted to get to eventually college hockey, I think, truly. But I knew I had to go junior hockey to get there. And, you know, so many things in my personal life were going kind of sideways and difficult. And you know, it was actually an amazing time, like perfect time to actually do that if I wanted to do that. And so going away from my daughters when they were young was very difficult. Like it's probably not the hardest thing that I've had to deal with so far in my life, but it's up there.
Yeah.
You know, and the funny thing is my younger one, who was small then, she was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old, and I ended up going to coach in Chicago. So I was going further away because I did Topeka for 2 years and then to Chicago for 3. And I just kept getting further away from Colorado. Because I used to, when I was in Topeka, coaching junior there, we'd play like on a Saturday night. And it's like an 8-hour drive door to door for me to go back to Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
And so so after our games on Saturdays, and we were a really good team. We only lost like 5 games or something that year. Like our teams were really good in Topeka. And I worked with a great guy, Scott Langer. And anyway, I would get in my vehicle. I had a big GMC Yukon, and I was like, all right, let's go. So I would just kind of loosen my tie up and drive 8 hours through the night.
Jeez.
Get to Sunday, and I'd go. Faith is a really big part of my family as well. So I'd take my daughters. We'd go to church, and then we'd spend the day together, just kind of whatever. And then they went to bed early, but that's why they get up so early. I realized that when they go to bed at 7:30 or whatever, like they're going to get up early.
Yeah.
So anyway, but it was about 7:30 or so. You know, do bath time, jammies, go to bed, and then I tell them, okay, I got to head back to Topeka, right? So then I would put them down and then in bed, and then I'd get back in my Yukon and drive 8 hours again through the night. I'd drive right to the rink and just sleep at the rink, and then get up when it was time to practice, help like run practice basically, and then get back to my apartment in Topeka and go to bed at like 3 p.m. and wake up like the next day.
That is crazy.
But I would do that.
That's
I would do
insane.
that like quite a bit, like probably at least 2 or 3 times a month, and to just try to stay connected to them.
Yeah.
And then when I went to Chicago, so I was going to this story. So I ended up going to Chicago, and I was explaining where it was, and they were like, well, Dad, that's further away. And I said, well, now you're gonna have to get on the plane with Grandma. You get a plane ride. It's really cool, And so I told them that because my younger one, she was at the why stage of life, where why why is the sky blue thing. But I said, well, I'm going to go to Chicago to come. Well, why would you do that, kind of thing. And so then I had to explain to her that I had to get myself better as a coach so that I could come back and coach here. That I would be good enough, or seem to be good enough. And she's like, okay. So then so fast forward those years in Chicago, and then when I did get the job there, I called and said, hey, look, I got the job or whatever. And then McKenna goes, Dad, you were right. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, you said you had to go there to get better. So it was a really cool moment.
Yeah, that's cute.
Now I'm like my mom, but I think I cry all the time when it comes to my kids. Now I know why. But yeah, it's that we had an emotional moment there, and it was really fun. It was fun to get back with them for the next 7 years together there. So
Yeah.
it was great.
So you coached 7 years?
Yep.
And then you went to St. Cloud after?
Yep.
Right after
Right
CC?
after CC. So so when I was in junior, when I was in Chicago in the U.S. League, so funny how that story happened. I don't know, did Lars tell you how that all went down? So,
I don't think so.
So I was after my first year in Topeka, I turned down a job in Sioux Falls. I'd only coached 1 year in junior hockey. I don't really know how this operates yet.
Yeah.
And is still, I think, relatively young. I think I was 34 or whatever, 35. Anyway, so I turned down that job. But then after my second year, I had multiple opportunities to coach in various places, and one of them was a head coaching job in Fairbanks in the North American League. And there was another opportunity in Chicago as an assistant coach with a guy that I knew. And I'm like, okay, well, you know what? Let's do it. I'll take the jump. And I'm not kidding. Almost to the minute, 12 hours later, Brett Larson called me. He got the head coaching job in Sioux City and wanted me to come coach with him there.
Dang.
And that was a difficult conversation because, and I'm sure the Chicago coach would have been fine, right? Yeah. But I wouldn't have been fine with that.
Yeah.
Because I had kind of made my commitment.
Yeah.
And I told Lars that and eventually. And then he's like, you know what, RJ, that's actually why I want you to be my assistant coach. Because and it just didn't work out at the time. And then I had a couple other ones right after that too. And I turned down, obviously, to go to Chicago. And so Chicago happened. And while I was there, though, Lars brought me on a staff for the World Junior Challenge.
Yeah.
And so we got a chance to work together there. And actually, I was an assistant, and the other assistant coach is now the head coach of the Detroit Red Wings.
Oh, okay.
Derek Lalonde, Newsy, we call him. So we coached together. We won a gold. It was great. It was an awesome experience. But I don't know, Lars is always just kind of, I don't know, we obviously hit it off really well, but I don't know, like some people, there's just like a chemistry or whatever it is, but he's always, it's like he's looking out for me or something.
Yeah.
And I'm just so fortunate and humbled by that because of the caliber of coach he is, certainly, but the caliber of person he is, that I get to be around someone like that all the time is truly a blessing. But then, I wasn't sure what I was going to do after CC. I didn't. My two kids, they were getting close to ending high school. And my younger daughter was going to finish high school, and my older daughter, Kaylin, was just about to start her freshman year at CC.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she plays women's soccer.
Yeah.
And that's a long story, but there's some things that happened there that really were troubling for me. So I wasn't sure if I was going to stay or whatever, but I decided I was going to stay with coaching. I did interview for some different NHL scouting jobs and kind of made my way down the path with a lot of those, but in the end, I really want to coach.
Yeah.
And so I had a couple head coaching positions open in junior hockey. And then Lars called and it's like, well, look, because COVID was going on and it's just amazing how things work out, but they wanted somebody to be ops. And anyway, so I back and forth on it because it's a major pay cut. I won't tell you what the exact dollars are, but it's a major pay cut.
Yeah.
And I have a kid that's just about to start a school that's $85,000 a year.
Right.
So, okay, I'll take it. So I took the job, and I came up here, and it was the best decision I ever made.
Yeah.
Like from minute one, just how everybody here, I mean, you guys are here. Mm-hmm. It's the people here that are just so welcoming. It's just so amazing. The culture and like the family feel.
Yeah.
It's you can't put like a price tag on that. You can't put like a value to that. It's so amazing. And that's so. And then I did the year of ops, which is another like huge learning experience.
Yeah. Right.
Like, and how much you appreciate ops people.
Yeah.
Like,
So
I hopefully you guys do, and you're good to your ops people because it is so difficult. And there's stresses, like you have stresses in coaching, obviously, and playing, right? But stress for ops is like, did I forget the computer? If I forget something, it's not like, oh, well, the PK, the back door, we should have taken that. No, this is like the bus isn't there.
Yeah.
Right.
There's nobody eats anything.
Right.
Like it's like major disaster if you forget. Like, so anyway, so there was all these different stresses and so I was able to get very fortunate with getting into coaching again that following year but it paved the way and have a whole new appreciation for so many things, like just stay-at-home parents, ops, right? Like you just kind of, you get the whole gamut of things. And when it comes to like video, because we do so much video, I'm like super comfortable. Like I don't ever feel like, oh gosh, now what? Like, I can do it. I can self-sufficient, so I kind of like that too.
Yeah.
What's one thing that you kind of learned growing up as a player and throughout your coaching years that you really try to instill in your players, or like make them aware of?
Well, it has probably less to do with tactical part or any kind of skill.
Yeah.
Probably more to do with just kind of like life and how amazing that is, like that we get to be here and do this. And I think it's just that, appreciate everything that you have, and like the fact that don't take for granted that you're going to wake up tomorrow.
Yeah.
And embrace every day, because I don't know, that old saying, right? That's like every day's a gift. That's why they call it the present.
Yeah.
But it really is true. And like that would be the probably the main thing. But there's more to it, because you're playing a game and a sport with other players, right? Your teammates, but you want to give them your best too.
Yeah.
You don't want to let them down in the sense that I'm just not going to be as prepared, or I know everybody else is doing it, but you know what? I'm going to do my own thing. It's just, you can still be yourself, but be yourself with us.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important aspect of being a good teammate, and putting value on doing just maybe the mundane things every day aren't mundane. They're
Right.
awesome.
Yeah.
And I just did this thing last night, but presentation thing but it's just switching one word in how you like self-talk. It's like, because people say, well, I have to do this and I have to do that.
Yeah.
And I have to do my paper, and I have to do my finals, and I just change have to get.
Yeah.
And then, that's another old saying, but I live by that. I get to go to the rink today. I get to work hard today. I get to have a tough conversation. I get to have, a hard day, or I get to, experience reward, or, I get to talk to my daughters every day. I get, so I think there's like this value of being able to do what we do is I would say probably the main thing that I would want to instill in the young people, the young men that I work with in particular.
Yeah, and you went through obviously a really scary time a few years ago with everything in your heart, and
Yep.
so do you think that changed your view on life and what you appreciate?
So you know about that? Yeah, you guys know about that? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we watched the video.
Oh, did you watch?
Yeah,
We did.
Yeah,
really cool video.
Yeah, she did such an amazing job, and I owe a lot to her. She's amazing. She I felt very humbled that someone would choose to do something like that for me. But that was in 2020 on May 4th, I had open heart surgery, and that. It's not that I didn't value life and love life before that, but that was
Right.
like to stare that one down was really tough. So earlier that year, I got diagnosed with this. I have a heart defect, like a birth defect, and it was a super big challenge. And they gave me basically a life expectancy at that point, because I had 90% blockage, which I don't know anything about the heart until this all happened. And I'm thinking, gosh, I ran 5 miles this morning. I don't feel that bad. And the surgeon said, well, that's usually what happens, is that people just kind of blow off some of these symptoms, and then they go skiing and they have a heart attack and die, and I'm like, well, I don't want that to be the thing. So, so they gave me 5 months at that time. And then unfortunately COVID happened. And so my surgery, which was scheduled in February, I think it was February, got postponed, or no, January, because it was in the 5th month. It was scheduled in January. And so then I was on the 5th month of them saying that you had about 5 months to live. So I was in May, and COVID happened. So there's no one goes anywhere. Everything was on lockdown. And then finally my surgeon, because I did not sleep for 5 months, just so you know, like I did not want to, I did a little bit here and there, but I didn't want to miss anything.
Yeah.
And I was so afraid that I wasn't going to wake up.
Yeah.
And I hope no one has to go through that. But then in May, the doc called and said that, we're going to push through for this surgery. And so I did. And sorry, it still gets me choked up talking about it. But it's that time. So they scheduled the day, and it happened to be May 4th, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan. So May the 4th be with you thing. So that's why my daughters got me the Star Wars loci. Anyway, so the on the 3rd of May, my family came over at different times to say goodbye, or kind of, I don't know. It was really tough. It was because I wasn't sure if I was going to make it, and it's a long surgery. It was like 9 hours.
Yeah.
So I think if you've seen that, but yeah, I was more, when I started to recover, I felt more bad for them that they had to sit through 9 hours and not know if I was, I just felt bad for them. Especially my daughters, my wife, it was really tough. My dad was struggling with the effects of Alzheimer's, so I think he may not have been as affected as obviously my mom. But I was able to make it through, and that recovery was so difficult. I can't tell you. I don't want to gross you out, but there was a lot. It was really tough. It was the 4 or 5 days. I think it was 5 days. I don't know. One of the with tubes and stuff. It was just really difficult. It was super challenging. When you're studying nursing, you could probably but the tubes, it was just really challenging, and I was just glad that I was still here.
Right.
And so there isn't a day that goes by that I don't, appreciate the fact that I have breath in my body.
Right.
And when I can take a hard day, I'll take that. I'll take something that, I'm feeling something now, I'll take that.
Yeah.
And because life means a lot. And, while we're here, let's do something cool. Let's do something special. Let's and if you're going to all those songs that have loves, if you're going to love somebody, love them as hard as you can. Love, that's how it is. I think it's, you want to play hockey, do it. Be the best you possibly can. If you, whatever it is, you want to be a nurse, you want to, with marketing, whatever it is, you want to play hockey, do it as hard as you can.
Yeah.
And because it's just, before you know it, you're going to be 52 years old on a podcast with people interviewing you about your journey. And it goes like that. And, but yeah, it's the value of your relationships with people, certainly your family. I'm guessing you guys are close to your family, but just your relationships with your teammates, your coaches, professors. It's just, they all matter.
Yeah.
And that was the one thing that when I was the night before surgery, I didn't sleep 1 minute. I just kept going through all the people that I've met and all the people that I've had time with, and I'm telling you, everybody that went through my head, and I couldn't get past it. I couldn't get past how lucky I was to have at least lived that part.
Yeah.
And so if it was time for God to take me, then thank you for everything that I've had to that point. And if I get a chance to be on borrowed time, then I'm going to make the best of it. So that's what I do now.
You mentioned how important your faith has been.
Yep.
Can you talk a bit about how that kind of impacted your journey as well?
Oh, for sure. So I took there was a time where I was questioning my faith, and I think everybody goes through that on their journey with God in their faith. And, but that was, I kept coming in and out of it, but it kept coming back to me. And it was just too much. It was just too ingrained in what I was thinking and feeling. It was just part of my fabric, and it helped me so immensely, especially when I got the job in Chicago. I was by myself, and then I'm in this big city, and I'm even further away from my kids. I have no one, divorced. I have no one, and it's just me and this big old world kind of thing, and a little bit of a pity party, but it was so challenging. I felt so alone, and that was really when it turned for me as far as the light in my life, and realized what my purpose was going to be here. And once I felt that, now I just can't stop, and that's why it was so hard when I was going through my heart issue, because I just felt like that I still had more to give. And, it's something that my dad used to tell me. Unfortunately, I lost my dad a couple of years ago, but he used to tell me all the time, in life, it's never going to be about what it's never going to be about what you get, ever, ever, ever. It's going to be about what you give. And he never specify Christmas presents or birthday cards, or he was just generally what you give to the world, as opposed to people, because we all know people that they take, right? And there's also people that give, and they give just openly and willingly. And I feel like it's better to be giving in life, and that's what you're going to be measured by. And that effect, hopefully positively, that you have on people, and that the effect that my faith has had on me, that they can maybe see a reflection of that, and maybe that helps them in their journey, because it's hard. And if life was easy, then what are we doing?
Right.
There's challenges, those are helpful. If we can't know joy unless we know pain, right? And so I think it's very deep here. Sorry, but that I think is part of the main reason why my faith has got me through all that. I'm in the Word every day. So I have an app on my phone. It's called the Bible app. Do you guys have it?
Yeah.
And so the verse of the day, and I watch the video, and so I'm in the Word every day, and it's been super helpful. And I've been doing that for years and years now. And my mom does 2 Bible studies. My sisters, so we're my brother. We are always in the Word in some way, and we know that we're never alone. And that was the biggest thing, is that you're never alone.
Yeah. So. And we've heard from so many other people that you're just inspiring, and praise God for getting you through everything that you've been through, and giving you the ability to inspire all these players and people that you surround, and made you who you are. And if anyone on your team or coaching staff or around you is going through anything, they can look to you and how you got through it, and it's really cool.
Well, thanks, Avery. Yeah, it is. Again, I am so humbled and lucky to be working with such amazing people. I hope to inspire in a positive way, only because I feel like that is my purpose, but not for my own glory. Obviously, this is not about me. It's always about Him, and and that's what drives me. It's not about earthly things, right? It's about
growing His
Him.
kingdom.
Yes, and that is so important. And I think it gets lost. We're in our world is so crazy. I think it just can settle things down if people have the faith. And but I certainly. If that is inspiring, then that is a reflection of my faith in my life, and not me personally. And if people can use that as inspiration, then then that's great, because there's going to be tough days, days where you're not going to, it's hard to look back, and it's too challenging to look forward, right? So where you're at right now, embrace it. And enjoy what you have, because again, we have our clothes that we want to wear, we have our the places we're living, and we have we have what we're eating tonight for dinner, and we're so it's we're so fortunate and super blessed, and then on top of that, to have amazing people to be around, to share life with. It's when you break it down to kind of the rawness of it, it's really your relationships with people, and how you carry yourself within that. And so I'm really, really fortunate. Now I'm here now. Eric Rude is, like I said, former teammate of mine, And, Clark Custer is just like lights out human being. Lars, obviously we talked to him, and Lenny Hoffman, but then all the players, we go to every one of those players. Like I would never feel, and hopefully they don't either, to ever feel like if we had to have we're sat next to each other on a plane or something, or we get like stuck in traffic and we're in a car together, with any of them, I would feel totally comfortable with, or like if we got in a foursome golf or whatever, I would never be like, oh, I don't want to play with that guy, you know what I mean? Like it's just, there's a comfort there, but there's a belief and a trust. And if you have those things, then I think you really got something in life.
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah, you mentioned like at the time feeling like you hadn't fulfilled your purpose yet. And I think it's kind of amazing how now we're getting to see that purpose being filled out, and we get to hear from other people about your impact on them and all that kind of stuff. So I think, that is the purpose now, and you do such an amazing job of that. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for
you guys,
sharing.
that's like super humbling to hear. I don't know who you're talking to, but I that's wonderful to hear, because I do believe that that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
And if I can be a conduit for that, then that's it. That's enough. It's not about money and all the other stuff, and it's all about again, the caring and kindness that you can bring people, and just the willingness to do whatever it takes. That was one thing that keeps you very humble is like taking on new tasks, but doing it in a way that is more joyful. Because like someone says, hey, you got to go sweep the floor. It's like, oh, brutal, and then you gripe about it or whatever. No, okay, right on. Let's do it. So I think it's, but that's like that attitude and word choice. Gosh, it makes such a huge difference.
Reframes it.
And just with the job too, because it's very time consuming what we do as coaches.
Yep.
And so as much like when I get a chance to spend time like with my wife or my kids, like it's all them. Like I am all in. And whatever that task is that day. So if it's recruiting, then let's go. If it's, we're on the ice today, okay, let's, but if it's, now it's family time, then let's go. It's just kind of just like that all in thing.
Right.
100%. Just all in, no matter what you're doing or where you're at or who you're with. But anyway.
Yeah, your story is incredible, and just a testament to what God can do, and we're so happy that you could join us today.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Hopefully I didn't, make your show worse here today.
No,
Downplay your show.
No,
you guys are awesome.
It was great. And so thank you for joining us, and thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time on Dump and Change.